So I was taking a summer class course, actually 2 summer classes after my junior year of high school in the summer because I wanted to have 2 off periods my senior year. So I was able, and many other people would take advantage of this, where we would go to summer school and take 2 courses that we would have to take during our senior year and just get them over with in 2 weeks in the summer, so we could have off periods, or we could have make a selection of what other classes we wanted instead of those 2. So the 2 classes were government and economics, and that summer all of the high schools were of kids who were going to be taking summer courses were going to be at my high school. So it was a ton of different schools and students from different schools at my school, and that meant that I didn't really know a lot of people, except for 3 students in my class, and we sat together and hung out. Not gonna lie, we would cheat because economics is really hard, and it's really hard to learn that in 2 weeks. But one of my classmates in that group had shared with us this mansion that was not too far. It was a bit of a drive, but it wasn't that far from our high school. And this mansion was abandoned. I'm not sure how long this mansion was abandoned for, but it had been a while because it was very worn down. And she had suggested that we all go and sneak into this mansion. And I was so excited because I've said before I really liked scary, eerie things growing up. And so I was so down to go to this mansion. So we went, and let me tell you, this mansion was spooky. We had seen some photos that she showed us during class one day, and they were photos in the morning, so it didn't look that scary. But when we actually saw the mansion in person at night, it was scary. When we went the first time, it was just me and 3 other girls, but we did not get off because we were all too scared. So the second time that we went to this mansion was with a bigger group of kids. There was probably like 10 of us, and we were all from the same high school, same grade level, and we all went inside this mansion. So this mansion was huge. When you walk in, it was like the front door was like pushed open or busted open because it was just lying on the ground. And when you walk in, you see the staircase, and the staircase had a red carpet going all the way up the stairs, which made it look even creepier. And so we looked around the house a little bit. It was kind of weird because we didn't really look that much into the house. We only went just into a few rooms, but we did find an indoor swimming pool, and this swimming pool still had water in it, and the water was but this was months later into my senior year. And I used to work at JCPenney's, and my coworkers, I had shared the story of this mansion with them, and they all were so intrigued and wanted to check this mansion out too. So we all decided to make a drive to this mansion, and we were all in 3 separate cars, so it was a fairly big group of us. And when we all went into the mansion, we actually explored way more than I had the second time I went with the group from high school. And we got to explore a lot of the first floor, and we went up to the attic, which wasn't that interesting, and I was kind of hoping for more, but because I just feel like attics are kind of spooky, but there was literally nothing up there. And I really wanted to check out the backyard, but we did not make it to the backyard. So we got to exploring, and by the time we were done, we began walking to the front of the mansion, and I was the first person out of the mansion. And as we were walking out, I saw a car parked in front of the mansion, and we were kind of freaked out because we were trespassing, and so we didn't know who those people were in that car. And so we I told them, I said, hey, we need to go, come on. And I was trying to get them to hurry up and get to our cars because, like I said, we didn't know who those people were. But that car, funny enough, was actually one of my best friends. She was in that car with her sister and some other people, and they saw us walking out of that house and were spooked out or freaked out by us because they didn't know who we were, so they ended up leaving. So they were scared of us and we were scared of them, but they ended up leaving because they didn't know who we were, and they didn't want to get off. And by this time, thing about that mansion, though, there have been like sayings that, or stories that it's haunted. I don't really know much about this mansion and why it's supposedly haunted. I think there was like a video of it or something like that where someone saw a ghost in a window or a picture or something like that. I can't remember. But a man did get murdered in the front yard of that mansion. This was years ago, of course, but it was an unidentified man. The police did not release his identity. I don't think they even knew who he was. But this body was found one morning laying flat, face forward on the ground, and he had been beaten on the head with a board, and his face was beaten as well, and they were not sure who he was, and they weren't sure of any suspects. So that is one strange thing that happened at that house that I know of. And so that was not actually, no, I'd been there 5 times. Because I had been there 5 times because I took another group of coworkers from JCPenney's there. So like the first group, a few of those people ended up leaving JCPenney's, and of course they hire new people, and you make more friends. And so this second group of JCPenney coworkers, I took them to this mansion as well because it was the month of October and we really wanted to go to a haunted house together. And it was, let me see, it was 3, 4, 6 of us. And, well, we were dumb and we didn't know that haunted houses end before Halloween. So, and it was after Halloween had passed already, and we thought like, oh, we still have one more weekend. Well, no, it was already over, because Halloween was over, so we were too late. We were a few days too late to make it to the haunted houses. So we're like, oh man, like what are we gonna do? And I told them about that mansion, and they're like, well, let's go. And so I was driving, all 6 of us were all squished into my Volkswagen Jetta, and I took them to this mansion. And when we pulled up, the house, that area smelled awful. It smelled so bad that you could smell it through my closed car windows. It was so bad. I mean, it was awful. And the grass was so tall. It was like probably she didn't want to go in, and my other coworker, she didn't want to leave her out there by herself, so she was like, I'll stay out here with her, like, y'all go. So it was 4 of us. It was me, my friend George, Priscilla, and Ricky. And so we opened the side door and we walk in, and there were sleeping bags on the floor, so that tells us that there's homeless people living in there or sleeping in there. And then there was the staircase, and so I was literally leading the way because everyone else was too scared. And I remember I was holding George's hand, and he was begging me not to go upstairs. He was like, Jenny, please, please, Jenny, please, I don't want to go. No, Jenny, no. And I was like, come on, George, it's okay, there's 6 of us. And he was like, no, like, he was so scared. Priscilla and Ricky were so scared. They were like huddled together, and I was just I was dragging them up the stairs. They did not want to go. And so when we finally got to the 2nd floor, none of them stepped foot on the 2nd floor. I was the only one who did. And I started walking up the 2nd floor by myself, and I remember there was like literal beds, you know, that where they lay patients. There were still things there that hospitals use, and like the curtains and everything, and it was so eerie. And I just was walking around just looking at everything, and I just started getting spooked. And so I just took off running, and because they saw me running towards them, they took off running down the stairs. So we were all running out the hospital, and my other 2 coworkers were like freaked out, like, why are y'all running? And we just kind of ran a little bit, and then we were kind of laughing, and they were asking me like, what did you see? And I was just like, nothing. Like, I don't know why, I just took off running. I just got spooked. And then all of a sudden Ricky was like, oh shoot. And we turned around to see what he was looking at, and these 2 guys walked out of the same door that we had ran out of, and they were looking at us. So we took off running again because we didn't know who they were, and we were just scared. So we just took off running, and then we ran to my car, and we were like, what the heck, like, where did they come from? Because I think that side door, when we walked in, there was only one way, like, to go, which was up the stairs. I don't remember seeing any other doors. Like, it looked like it was just like almost like a closet, but with a staircase to lead you up the stairs. So I was like, where the heck did they come from? Because like, I didn't see them anywhere, you know. But I don't know, maybe we might have missed another doorway or something. But we were like freaked out, and then those guys ended up like walking up to us by my car, and they're like, why did y'all run away? And we were like, man, you guys scared us. And they're like, we weren't gonna do anything. And they're like, hey, no, I think we were asking them like, what does it look like in there? Like, what's it like? And they just were, I don't know, I think that they might have been druggies. Like, I think they do drugs, you know, that's what they look like. Not like to be judgmental, but I mean, like, you know. And so they told us, they said, oh, they were walking away, and they turned around, they're like, oh, y'all should go to the basement, it's fun down there. And we were like, what the heck? We're like, nah, we're good, like, we're not going to the basement. Which I kind of like, but no, I shouldn't go back. But I do remember that they said the 3rd floor, not those guys, but I remember hearing that the 3rd floor was supposedly haunted, and that you could feel like cold air up there, and that I think it was written on the wall, she's watching you, or something like that. And I think I heard that from a girl I went to high school with, because she had went to the hospital one time. But yeah, one of my coworkers, the one that was scared, ended up, she was like way too freaked out, because I think we were saying we should go back or something, and she's like, no, I'm leaving. And she called her aunt who lived nearby, and her aunt picked her up, and we felt bad because, you know, we didn't mean to scare her. 2018, I can't remember, but it had burned down early that year, and I didn't find out till like almost the middle of that year. So I don't know if they continued on with an investigation to figure out how it got burned down or what, but yeah, it burned down. And at the time they didn't know like what happened to it. But I had actually one of my best friends, she really wanted to go check it out, and I told her, I said, dude, it burned down. And she was like, oh, like, I said, we can still go, I can show you where it was. And so we ended up driving back to where the house was, but of course there was literally nothing left. I mean, it was just like the cement, the driveways, and there's like a little bit of like rubbish around where the house was, but there was really nothing, and which is really sad because, you know, memories, and maybe it would have been cool to try to go back again. But I think the hospital's still there. I think I remember hearing that they were going to tear down that hospital, but I don't know if they ever did. Maybe one day I'll drive out there again and see if they tore it down. But if they did, then that sucks, because again, memories, and it was just really cool times, you know. I was really young, and you know, those are just some of like the best nights that I remember. Oh, but one year, I don't know if maybe it was it had to have been the next year, because when I took my coworkers, the second group of coworkers, they it was around Halloween, so it had to have been the next year's Halloween that Priscilla and Ricky had went back to that mansion, and they had said that there was the two of them, they had started dating, and they're still dating, which is cute. But they had went to that mansion again that following Halloween, and they said there was literally a Halloween party, and they said there were so many cars out there, so many people in the mansion, they were just partying it up. And so Priscilla and Ricky, they went into the house, and they had asked someone, I guess, I don't know if it was the person who was throwing the party or what, but they asked someone like, hey, is it okay if like we walk around the mansion, you know, while y'all's party? And then the guy was like, yeah, that's cool, I don't care. And so they were like walking around the mansion while there was a party being thrown there, and they were in the backyard. And they said that while they were in the backyard, all of a sudden the cops showed up, and everybody just took off. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, why didn't y'all tell me? I so would have went. But yeah, I was like, that is so cool. Like, someone should have thrown a party there. I'm out here, like, really encouraging illegal activity, right? Anyways,